What Farage is saying, what Trump is saying as well, is look, my family, we're going to get very rich out of this political positioning we've got. And to be honest, we're not embarrassed about it. Yeah. The supporters, by and large, don't mind one little bit.
The Times is reporting how Nigel Farage has built a £4 million portfolio alongside his partner Laura Ferrari in the past decade. It's quite a turnaround. Just back in 2017, he declared he was skint. The Reform UK leader owns 5 mortgage-free homes, only declaring 2 of the properties to Parliament. We also now know that Farage has earned £1.3 million outside Parliament since becoming an MP in 2024. And we've spoken before about the £5 million given to him by a crypto billionaire without apparently anything coming back in return. Should we celebrate his entrepreneurial skill or be suspicious? I'm joined by the Times columnist Fraser Nelson. Fraser, morning to you.
Good morning.
Does this matter? Property empire, is there a sort of vibe sniff test thing that this is a guy who's come into politics and seems to be doing very well for himself since that point?
Well, there's no inherent problem being a politician owning lots of houses. I mean, Jeremy Hunt owns lots. But typically this is money you make before you enter politics. What's striking about Nigel Farage is that he said he was skint in 2017. He was saying that there's no money in politics, not if you're honest. That was his assessment then. And what the Times finds today is that since the referendum 6 years ago, his property empire has been built up. £4 million worth of houses, 5 of them in total between him and his partner. And only one of them comes after the £5 million gift he received from Christopher Harborne in Thailand. So is this more of a question as to where the money came from, about the tax implications of it, and other just questions about the financing of Farage Inc., which seems to be a very lucrative business, a lot more lucrative than it was before the referendum.
Yeah. Has Trump changed the rules here, Fraser? Because I think people are a bit leery of politicians making lots of money while in office. There's been lots of rich politicians all over the world, in America certainly, and in this country. Has Trump changed the rules here? Because Trump would say, I don't care about this stuff, I like making money, it's part of who I am, and it's just people being jealous. And Farage has the hint of Trump about him, doesn't he?
Oh, very much so. I mean, quite often, Farage will look at MAGA, and so will Zia Yusuf, and saying, look, this is what we want to do. Now, one of the traits of Trump, of MAGA, not just of that, but of the European populist right, is to be almost proud of this, to say, yes, I'm making lots of money, and yes, I'm enriching myself in the process. I mean, one of the other stories the Times had this week was all the money which Nigel Farage is making advertising gold bullion while he's an MP. Now, there was once a time where MPs didn't want to do that sort of thing, where they thought it was a conflict of interest. This notion of conflict of interest is one which is now being eroded, not so much by Nigel Farage, but certainly, Silvio Berlusconi in Italy, he was the one who did it first of all. And remember that Farage has invested lots of money in Kwasi Kwarteng's crypto company, wanting to personally profit out of that, while at the same time promising a whole bunch of policies that would benefit crypto firms. So an obvious conflict of interest. There's no law against it. It was more of a moral norm that in politics you don't do that sort of thing. But what Farage is saying, what Trump is saying as well, is look, my family, we're going to get very rich out of this political positioning we've got. And to be honest, we're not embarrassed about it. Yeah. The supporters, by and large, don't mind one little bit.
Have you seen the argument that this $5 million donation from Harborne that he didn't declare is going to bring Farage down in the end?
I'm a bit sceptical about that. I mean, the parliamentary commissioner is asking, to me, quite a technical question. Should he have declared it? And was this something... But the rules seem to be quite clear that you should declare any donation you had in the year before you were elected. And Nigel Farage says, look, this was a personal gift to me. It just so happens to have come from a political donor. But whether that was the case or not, the fact remains that he received the money. But is that going to be enough to have him really deposed from his Clacton constituency? I really struggle to see that. I mean, unlike Robert Jenrick, unlike Danny Kruger, he sought democratic consent from people to stand as a Reform MP. They gave him that consent, knowing exactly the sort of politician he was. Now, you might be sort of shocked at the extent of his financial empire, but are you surprised? I would be very surprised if Clacton rises up and says, no, we're going to recall this guy and put in one of Rupert Lowe's people instead.
And you can only recall him if he gets suspended for a considerable time in Parliament, which might not happen either. So there's a long way to get to that point.
Yeah.
Fraser, great to speak to you. Thanks for joining us. That's Fraser Nelson there, the Times columnist.
The Times has a big spread on Nigel Farage and the £4 million of mortgage-free property he and his partner own. Just talk us through some of the things in this.
Yeah, so he owns 5 homes, and all have been purchased since that famous comment in 2017, sorry, where he said, "I'm skint." And now he's since got a property in Surrey, which is worth 1.42 million. That's said to be a grade 2 listed property, and that's one he actually currently does put on his record as someone who is in Parliament. He also has one through his company, which he basically lists on that record as well. And then he, of course, has his property in Clacton, which is owned by his partner, Laura Ferrari, and that's worth around £885,000, and that was bought in November 2024. And there are 2 other properties listed which haven't actually been documented in his parliamentary record. So the concern here is that he's bought 5 homes, all in cash terms, one of which was born soon after he received that £5 million donation from the tycoon Christopher Harborne, and you do wonder where the money's coming from, and certainly whether it's been declared properly.
And it's interesting politically for Nigel Farage. His argument is he was giving interviews last week. None of your business how I spent, say, that £5 million donation. And yes, I've made decent money since I made that comment about being skint in 2017, but I'm still in politics because I believe in what I'm doing and I want to change this country, despite the fact I could go away and have a very comfortable life and make my money and not have to deal with all the flack. Does he have that sort of Trumpian quality, for want of a better comparison, where this can be water off a duck's back, and actually the specifics of did you declare this in the way that you should have, or where did the money come from, that actually people are prepared to put that aside because they believe in his political beliefs?
Perhaps. I mean, there's certainly a part of that with Nigel Farage. He does have that same quality, the Teflon quality, I suppose, that even Boris Johnson had for a very long time. Now, I think the challenge here for him is in this particular question of this donation. It is so unexplainable, and that's what makes it very difficult. We've gone from different explanations for him. Initially, it was a gift, then it was a thank you note for Brexit, and now it's basically none of your business. So I think there's an element of this £5 million, which is so difficult for him to explain, that makes it even harder for him to contend with. And that's why you're getting this fight back from Farage on this question. However, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And of course, we know that the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner has launched his investigation into this. And depending on the outcome of that, that will be very damaging for Mr. Farage, certainly if it doesn't come out in his favour. So I think, yes, while right now he can shake it off, but it is clearly denting in reform. And certainly it's not something that people like Robert Jenrick, when they come out on the media talking to the media, having to answer essentially for his boss. And each person is coming out with a different response, saying, for example, one senior member in Reform tell me that it's none of your business, really. If I got a donation, why should I tell you? Why should I have to explain myself to you? So you're certainly getting very different responses from different people.
It'll be interesting to see. I suppose the main test will be, how do people vote at elections? Does Nigel Farage become Prime Minister? That's the ultimate test.